Brain is the most complex organ in the human body. It's also very easy to fool. That's the theme of the program Brain Games on the National Geographic Channel. It uses experiments to challenge what we think we know about the brain.
New York in the spring?
Okay. Nothing out of the ordinary from that sentence at all?
Nope. New York in the spring.
New York in the spring.
Nice job, guys.
So, are we all in agreement that the sign says New York in the spring? Read it aloud one more time. If you think that's what it says, then you're like almost everyone else we surveyed. Incorrect.
Jason Silva is the host of Brain Games. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So all these things teach us how the brain works?
Wait, how is that incorrect?
Yeah, well, you actually
New York
didn't notice
in the spring.
there was an extra
Right.
"the" in the sentence. It actually said New York in the spring.
Oh, could we see that again, please? Yeah. Because I swear to you, Jason, I read it New York in the spring.
Yeah, and it's actually in the poster of our show, too. It says, think you can't be fooled, but it actually says, think you can't be fooled. And the reason that happens is because your brain is so quick to extrapolate information that it literally, in saving energy, sort of, it doesn't expect to see a mistake, so it doesn't see a mistake.
The spring.
Yeah, that's right. People won't see that.
Did you catch that, Charlie?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Nora?
No, I didn't either.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that really kind of like sums up the show. We do these kind of perceptual experiments, these kind of cognitive hacks to reveal shortcomings in your perceptions of reality, to create a crack in your perceptions of reality. And by doing so, create that curiosity to then teach you how your brain works.
And back to my question, what does it tell you about how the brain works?
Well, it tells you that your brain receives incomplete information from the world and does its best to complete that information.
Right.
So like one fascinating fact that I learned in our episode on perception is that through our eyes, we can only perceive low resolution, flat 2D images.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, if you think of our eyes like cameras, they see low-res 2D images. They take in that limited information and they use that to construct the high-def 3D reality we take for granted. So it's kind of like we really kind of do live in the Matrix. You know?
And tell me if I'm right or wrong. And when the brain sees something, it incorporates what it's already seen.
Absolutely.
And that's how it decides what it is.
Absolutely. You bring to everything.
Is he right or wrong, Jason?
No, he's absolutely right.
Oh, he's right. Okay.
Yes, and I know you love the brain.
Well, I just wanted Jason to weigh in because this is Jason's mission, really, because you want people to know that the brain is hot, the brain is sexy. For a lot of people, they think brain, my eyes start to glaze over. But Charlie agrees with you on this. The brain is hot and sexy, and that really is your mission.
Well, the brain is responsible for everything. You know, the man-made world, our magical smartphones that extend our thoughts, you know, that help us transcend our thoughts through time, space, and distance. Technology is an extension of the human brain. I mean, go ahead.
So one thing we want to know, how do male and female brains solve problems differently?
Well, it's really interesting. We had an episode on the, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, supposedly, and we had a game called Pack the Trunk in which couples were asked to, So we had two cars that were packed to the brim. Their trunks were packed to the brim, and then they got to study the trunks, and then we emptied them. And then we had these couples compete to see who could repack the trunk better. And what we expected to find is that because male brains are said to have better spatial reasoning, that the men would be able to pack the trunk better.
No, Gail and I could have told you that.
No. What did you find, Jason?
Okay,
we did. That is exactly what we found, actually. In the majority of the cases, the men seem to be a little bit better.
Rigged.
Really?
Yeah.
See, actually, I agree with you.
Okay, I'm sorry. We need to have a competition between Charlie
I think that
and
would be a lot
Gail
of
and
fun.
Nora
Packing.
about who can pack the trunk
I
better.
would love that. And the age-old thing about directions.
Yes.
Who has a better sense of direction?
Well, it is said that men have a better sense of direction because when we evolved as early hominids, in the savannas of Africa, the men had to go hunt and they had to figure out how to get back to the camp. So it's kind of like they have this built-in GPS. We're kind of wired that way.
Jason, they don't even like to ask for directions, and then you're running all
Exactly,
around
that's what I
an
was gonna
hour
say.
out of the way.
Women are smart enough to ask for directions.
That's right.
Yeah,
I will
there's a little
stop
bit of
and
male
ask.
pride. No.
So is it true? What did you find out about that?
Yes, it is. It is true that men tend to have a better sense of direction. Not that it matters anymore because we're dovetailing those capacities to our smartphones
tell us-
So what are
anyway.
women better at then? Because you just keep talking about that men are better than women. So what are
They're
women
better
better at?
intuitive
You have no idea what
capacities,
you've
more in
waded
touch with
into.
their feelings.
You have no idea.
Sorry, we're just more intuitive.
And I think you have many more strengths, actually, than
well,
men.
list
I think
them
if
then.
women ran the world, we'd be in a much better
So
situation
I can go
in
home
many
safely.
ways.
List them.
List them.
How are our brains better?
I think definitely you guys are more in touch with your feelings. You're more intuitive.
Oh, they don't want to hear that. They know
Cliche.
They know that.
But the
Cliche,
great
exactly.
thing about your show, though, on
Yes.
Brain Games, you do lots of experiments like the one that we just
Yes,
saw.
yes.
I mean, I stood in front of the TV trying, do this,
Right.
guys. Do this with your eyes open, and then close one eye and try to bring your fingers together.
Right.
Yeah.
And you cross.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cross.
I mean, again,
it seems like a simple thing.
Totally.
Yes.
I mean, the
There you
games
go.
are all adapted from real experiments that have been done in the lab, and we've adapted them to be visual and interactive. So we call this lean-in programming. Like you got to lean in, you got to play along, and then that creates the feeling of because the things work, and then you don't understand why that's going on, and that creates wonder, and that creates the curiosity to learn, and then we teach you about the brain. And I think that's really relevant because you have Obama's brain mapping initiative going on in Europe. They're spending $1 billion to reverse engineer the brain. I mean, the brain is the seat of consciousness, and the minute we can create and reverse engineer the brain, I mean, that's the singularity. You're familiar with that.
makes
Well, I
it
am
fun.
indeed. I've
He
devoted
does.
more
I
hours
like
to the
it.
idea of the brain than any other single subject on my program.
Oh,
What were you going to say, Nora? What were you
I
gonna
like him.
say? Yeah. No, I like him.
You like him?
I like you too. I like you too.
You like him very much.
And
Thank
I'm
you,
on her
Jason.
side and her side.